we should move on from this, though.
I've been waiting for it.
And I do,
we
I do have something I want to bring up.
Okay.
We got an announcement yesterday for a game that I'm like kind of mad is going to exist, possibly someday. Like,
here we go.
I'm like I saw it and I was like, they're doing it. They're really doing it. They're doing it.
Of course they're
We
doing
got a trailer
it.
for Kingdom Hearts 4.
I know, a game I didn't think was actually going to be real.
And a game that, like, I don't know. I mean, there are some Kingdom Hearts fans that are like, hell yeah, like, and more power to them. But, like, I don't know who this game is for, because I feel like the majority of the people that I know that played Kingdom Hearts 3 and, like, were there from the beginning, at least people in my life, they played Kingdom Hearts 3 and were severely let down by it. And then this trailer comes out and it's like, why Sora looks so weird?
I'm raising my hand right now because
why are we in the real
I
world
hated
now?
Kingdom Hearts
why are
3.
we in the real world? Why is any of this happening? Why do I care? Why is the font different? Like, it...
I mean,
I am so glad that you brought this up because I am in a unique position to be able to speak to this. Because as we're well aware, I played Kingdom Hearts 3 and talked about it on this show, and that is, reflecting on it now, maybe one of my biggest disappointments in media ever.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 2 was like a 10 for me forever.
Kingdom
I was a
Hearts
teenager
2 is
when
still
I played
a great
it.
game.
It is. Kingdom Hearts 2, significantly better than Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
Substantially. But yeah, what, you were smiling about something, Chris?
Oh, Mum Jum in the chat. Can it possibly live up to the hype? Not hype. Expectations.
And let me tell you something. I saw Kingdom Hearts 4 announced, and I rolled my eyes out of my head and across the floor and out the door, and they've not come back yet. But then I watched the trailer, and I'll tell you, a lot of stuff in the early Kingdom Hearts 3 trailers that I didn't like, a lot of the stuff that was in the final game that I didn't like, is conspicuously absent from this trailer.
Like what?
There is no, I'm summoning a giant
Ferris
carousel
wheel? Yeah.
made out of rainbow colors to smash into the boss.
Listen, that is the Electric Light Parade, and that is a Disney like staple.
How dare you?
That's fucking great, Josh. I don't want it in my Kingdom Hearts game.
That's what it is.
That is what it is. That is what it is.
I'm of the mind. I really like Kingdom Hearts, but I also didn't really like 3 that much. Like it kind of.
It gave
felt
more
like
questions than answers.
It felt like they tried to like really wrap up all. They were like, man, we got way too like out of step on a tangent here, and we need to wrap this all up, you know. So it was like all of this just kind of nonsense.
And they wrapped it up in the last 2 to 3 hours of the entire game.
Yeah.
And then put out DLC trying to explain more of it.
Yeah,
which is crazy because Odell, former guest host of this very show, was like, yeah, the DLC was better than 80% of this game. And I'm like, why didn't you make it the game then?
Yeah. I just
like, this is, I literally sold, I beat the game. I immediately ran out and sold it. Like, to just get rid of it, get it out of my house because it was cursed.
And I think we talked about this at the time, my wish was that we would kind of just be done, or that Kingdom Hearts would sort of just evolve into something completely different. Like, the way that they sort of show, like, there's some implications at the end of 3 that, like, we're only in this one kind of cone of millions of endless cones or whatever. And I'm like, oh, great. So we can go literally somewhere else, and we don't have to do, like, this synthesis of... Sorry, my hat's being weird, but we don't have to do this synthesis of Disney and Final Fantasy anymore, as much as I love both of these things. Like, we can actually just have Kingdom Hearts be Kingdom Hearts.
Which I would
and go from there, and I'd love that, too. Honestly, I would love
Guess
them
what?
to just... But they're not really doing that, so...
Yeah.
That was like a little, and then I saw it was like this hyper realistic looking thing, and I'm like, Kingdom Hearts has never been that. It's always been like a cartoon.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
It looks weird to me.
Well, and honestly, it's not. They're not leaning fully into either one. Like it's almost hyper realistic, but it's just off putting enough. Where it's
just
like,
off enough. Yeah.
Is it a cartoon? Like they could have. I said this to Jess.
It's New Donk City.
They could have made this look like, and maybe not 1-to-1 art style, but closer to Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I feel like that would have made more sense than what it is.
Yeah. I was going to say, it would be New Donk City if Sora still looked exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like, big clown shoes, big dork, like, yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
And then it's like, we're in Osaka, right? But, like, it's not like that.
It's weird that Donald and Goofy look like CG versions of themselves. And then Sora just...
Can I tell you...
Yeah.
Can I tell you how angry I was when I saw the stinger at the end that had them in it?
Did you figure out who they're talking to? Like I assume I know what is going to happen at least in that section of this game. Is that they think Sora is dead and they go look for him in the underworld and Hades is there.
Well, I mean there's I didn't pay that close of attention to that, but the interesting thing is the implication in the trailer that he is dead.
Yeah.
Because whoever
it's
it
like
was
the
that
afterlife or whatever.
In his apartment, that people on the internet have found where that apartment is in Japan.
Oh, really?
Which is hilarious to me.
God.
But the woman that he's talking to is basically like, yeah, this world is kind of like an afterlife.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And I like that idea. Like, I think that's interesting. And I do think that, the idea of like it not necessarily needing to be Disney plus Kingdom Hearts, of it actually being its own thing, which like for years I've said, I wish that Kingdom Hearts leaned into the stuff that was unique because I think that's where it's at its best. Right. Like Hollow Bastion, the
World That Never
Land
Was,
Between Worlds, or like The World That Never Was. That
Destiny
all of
Islands.
that stuff is the stuff that's the most interesting to me.
Yeah.
That is the stuff where like the game feels like its own thing. When it's not just, oh, I'm gonna go to this, Alice in Wonderland world and just rehash the plot of that game, or like a variant of the plot of that game.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to the Tarzan world. That stuff is profoundly uninteresting to me. The things that are so cool about Kingdom Hearts are the things where Nomura is just like, yo, what if I invent a land in like Twilight Town, where it's just like, it's never not midday here because this is not a real place. Like The World That Never Was is just like, and the idea of like nobodies, like the idea of like, okay, you've been separated from your soul. What does that mean when people are separate from their souls, when they don't really have emotions?
But then they had to go and make like 5 different versions of that and be like, there's nobodies.
And all of that was like, these are all iterations of a single character. Yeah, that's
this
dumb,
is why,
but
like, to me, the first game is my favorite one because it's the most like just cohesive package. Like it's so simple where you have the Keyblade. There's not like 50 million thousand of them, right? You have the one. Yeah. You have to go like the doors of the world open and it lets through like, dark entities and stuff. So you have to go fight them and you have to close the door. I'm like,
you have to get the 7 hearts from all the Disney princesses.
We can cut that part out. But the thing is, like,
you got to sing in what's his face's undersea symphony.
I'm like,
I like that
real
game,
big. Even though that game like suffers from some like not great level design and the platforming's really bad. There's a lot that's charming and very unique about that first game that I love. But I do feel like as the series goes on, it got more and more mired in its own lore and tried really hard to be like, well, we have a new game and they can't be like heartless and they can't be nobodies. So we got to make like a third one that's this thing. So they
it's like harmonies or
they kept just
dissonance or notes
or
whatever.
And it's like, you don't need all this. Like there can just be new kinds of heartless, right? Like we can just keep doing that. We don't have to keep, and it's like they just kept adding on. So like
Halo did it.
The thing that I dread the most, and like to not great
which
effect,
is really
right?
annoying.
The thing that I just dread the most about like another Kingdom Hearts, as much as I love it and have like a huge soft spot for it, is just more of that. Like I want them to really like either do a full hard reboot or to do something completely different and take it in a totally different direction. But doesn't seem like they want to do that, other than the fact that it looks like we're in like actual Tokyo or somewhere, right?
Well, I don't think it or its two mobile games are going to do that.
Yeah.
This is what I want to get into, is because this is not the same arc. This is the beginning of a brand new arc. This is the Lost Master arc, not the Dark Seeker saga.
Sure.
So there is an opportunity here to Chris, you're jerking off over there, but everything up until now has been a part of one saga.
Yeah, but
part of
not
one
like
story
not
arc
initially
from the beginning to
like
end.
planned as one, like thought of
No,
after the
and
fact.
it's here's super messy. I'm
gonna stop you right here. I'm gonna stop you
Shut
right
up.
here.
I haven't been able to talk this whole time. Shut up. Listen. There's the likelihood that this is actually going to be something of a soft reboot is way higher than it would have been for Kingdom Hearts 3 or something else, because this is specifically a new arc, a new story. He starts totally separated from these people. It is in a real world place. I think there are a lot of things to take from this trailer that actually give me hope over what we got in Kingdom Hearts 3. Because it does look different, because it does look more realistic, because there isn't a bunch of light shows going on, because he's not with Goofy and Donald and all these people, because we don't see the Little Mermaid swimming through the skies. I
think you're going to be sorely disappointed if I'm being
I probably will, but I think that the likelihood that we're going to get something from this that I might actually enjoy more is higher than I thought possible before I saw it.
Are going to get a Kingdom Hearts game with more realistic set pieces like Star Wars and Marvel and possibly the Muppets. And
I'd be here for the Muppets, though.
I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going...
Now, is it going to be the live-action Muppets with what's-his-face from How I Met Your Mother?
Like...
Oh.
You telling me I'm going to run around with Rizzo the rat? And he's going to be like...
I would love that.
Are we going to get Muppet Treasure Island?
That's a dream.
Dude, Muppet Treasure Island slaps.
If they do Muppet Treasure Island, I'll lose my mind. But they'll never do that.
With Tim Curry?
Yeah.
Come on.
Dude, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. Like,
it's a great movie.
It's an incredible movie.
He's not the best Long John Silver, but he's a very damn good one.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He's
my favorite.
No, but I think that's what... talking through this now, I think that is what makes the most sense. Is they're going to come out, they're going to do the Star Wars thing, they'll do the Marvel thing, and then whatever other realistic Disney properties are out there. And then whatever Donald and Goofy have going on, I could see them visiting like cartoon Disney worlds and doing that with like Kyrie or something like that.
Yeah. There's not a world in which there is no Disney in Kingdom Hearts, because the main Kingdom Hearts characters are literally owned by Disney.
Yeah. Like that's never going away.
So that's partially why I was like, man, it would be interesting if they just took like a lot of these core ideas and just made a new like IP out of it. Or if they did like a full hard reboot and they're like, no, we're going to do characters that we actually like own. Yeah. You know, like instead of playing Sora, who we've been playing as since I was in junior high school and I'm now 31, what if there was like a new kid or something, right? Like, think of that. I don't know.
I think it's interesting that. So what I was going to say when I was freaking out at Brian was that I shouldn't have to rely on playing a mobile game or two different mobile games and the mainline games across God knows how many different platforms across God knows how many years. Yeah, just to get the full gist of what the hell is going on.
And you won't even really get the gist.
You don't, because I've played almost all of them and I still don't understand what's going on in those games.
I played every mainline, every numbered entry, plus Chain of Memories and Birth by Sleep, and I was lost for most of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which should not be the case. If you played Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2 and went into Kingdom Hearts 3, you should be good.
Mom, jump in the chat. Donald and Goofy travel to Colombia and run around behind the walls in the Encanto house looking for Bruno.
We don't talk about Bruno around here.